Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and today, man, we got all kinds of stuff on the agenda today. But first things first, let's go ahead and get the cigar going. Then we'll get into everything else. So today, the cigar I will be smoking with you is the JFR Lunatic Habano Short Robusto. It's a 4 3/4 by 52-inch cigar, and it features an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper on top of a Nicaraguan binder and select Nicaraguan fillers. And this cigar, at least according to the research that I found, has notes of roasted nuts, coffee, and baking spice. And so we're going to go ahead and slip off the little gold foil there to reveal the cigar. And it does have a closed foot, so that's something to take note of when you are prepping to light this cigar. And but before we light the cigar, we got to cut the cigar. And the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. 2 Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows 2 Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. Please go to 2guyscigars.com. Give them a try. You know, for your next cigar purchase, give them a try. And in the little comment section, when you're doing your purchase, make sure you tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And just remember, guys, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. So let's get this guy cut, and then we'll get into this. We got all kinds of stuff to address in this episode. So we're going to give this guy a little straight cut there, and good. I have been having trouble. I don't know if I need to. I thought that thing like self-sharpened or something, or maybe I'm just not cutting with authority or whatever. But I've had a few cap cracks. I'm thinking it could also be the weather. Maybe the ambient humidity in the air has kind of started shifting in such a way, and I need to address my cigar storage a little bit with that. But anyway, we'll worry about that later. So, give this guy a cold draw here. So, I do get the nutty component that the description was talking about, but there is there's kind of a sweetness also on it. So, you know, it's got a good cold draw. Anyway, while we light this cigar, why don't we go ahead and listen to the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino Corojo.
Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so, they can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars uses authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard. Yeah.
So, cigar is lit. The business is underway. Let's address a few things. First things first, I want to apologize to everybody who was expecting a sermon on Saturday, or Friday, I should say, Friday, and it didn't come. I'm not going to dwell too much on this, but, you know, guys, life happens sometimes, and best intentions of mice and men. It is what it is. But in this case, Thursday morning, I got up ridiculously early. I was up very, very late Wednesday night and working on a few things. And Thursday morning, I got up ridiculously early. And I went over to South County to send off a friend of the show, Mike Brinker. Mike Brinker moved to Georgia, and we wish him well. He'll be back on the show, but it'll be in a Zoom or phone call capacity. Maybe periodically if he's back up in St. Louis visiting or something like that. But he has made the move to Georgia, and so I had to bust my ass to South County early Thursday morning before he hit the road to get him one of the world's strongest cigars that I'd brought back from him or for him from the expo. And so by the time I got done with that, did a little bit of other work for the newspaper, had to run to the courthouse for the newspaper stuff, this, that, and the other. I still needed to figure out what I was going to do with the show that day, and I just kind of started working in the garage just to kind of clear my mind. Well, before I knew it, it was very late on Thursday, and I had made a lot of progress in the garage. And so I just I needed the weekend. This is the first time that I have no real good legitimate reason for having gone ahead and skipped it, except I just needed the weekend. I needed this weekend. I got to thinking about it, that this year, I closed on my house in mid-July. Yes, I took a few episodes off in July, but I closed in my house in mid-July. By the end of July, I was down in Destin on a family vacation. Then I had about 3 weeks back home where I was busting my ass, getting multiple episodes recorded in advance, doing this, doing that, prepping, and also prepping for Pulpit Fest, which then came at the end of August. And so I had 3 weeks where it was all prep work and everything, both for the event, getting ready for the event, while also maintaining my regular life, and all the responsibilities and everything therein. And so Pulpit Fest came along. And then after Pulpit Fest, I had 3 weeks where I was once again getting everything prepped, getting everything ready, and looking ahead, while also maintaining my regular life, looking ahead to the New England Cigar Expo and going to New England for a little while. And so it's one of those things where I got back from New Hampshire, I hit the ground running, immediately had to get a newspaper out, had to, get it laid out, had to get it delivered everywhere, this, that, and the other. Had my son that weekend, and it just was one of those things where I'll admit, guys, I mentally hit a wall. And that Thursday, working in the garage, just concentrating on that task and seeing the progress take place as I did it. I will freely admit to you, I needed that. I needed that moment to just work on one simple thing. And so, yeah, I didn't get you an episode on Friday. And I apologize for those of you who were looking for it. I had every intention of trying to do it first thing Friday morning and get it out. Then Friday, but the thing was, the work in the garage on Thursday continued into Friday. And then Friday was a very long day working in the garage. And then Saturday, the garage work continued again. And finally, by midday Saturday, I was done. And it was just kind of one of those things where at that point, I kind of was like, look, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just wait till Tuesday, and I'm going to take it off. And it's what it is. And, this is something that I think we all need to do for for a moment. Be conscious of your own mental health. And I'm not saying I was like mentally unhealthy or breaking down or anything like that. But I was tired and I needed a break, and I needed something. I needed to do something where I felt that I was being productive and that I had an end goal to where I could be happy. But I'll tell you what, guys, after I got done with the garage this Saturday, I have come out to this garage so many times since midday Saturday. I mean, I've just opened up the door from the kitchen to look into the garage, and I've just looked and saw the end result and just kind of smiled, and I was like, I fucking did that, you know? Like, this has been a real pride point for me the last couple of days, and it sounds stupid. It does. I freely admit it probably sounds stupid, but you know, Dave from Smoking Butts and a couple other folks, y'all saw what this garage was like. And now to see it, I mean, it's night and day different. Those of you on the YouTube, you've seen the background of what this garage was like. Right now, what you're seeing is the very rough beginnings of possibly my winter studio. You know, I have the workbench cleared off. I've got, you know, a photo from Pulpit Fest 2023. I have an ashtray over my shoulder that Toby Martinez made out of some engine parts. There's a BF chicken. That's a BF chicken right there on the bench. And I got my leg lamp. And you know what? I have a place that I can sit out and smoke. And yes, the garage door is wide open. Do I think this is going to be my home for recording in January when it's balls cold? No, I've got a spot out back that I'm going to put up the tent. But for right now, I have some place where it looks okay. And yeah, I got to probably take that little rack thing there down and, you know, but I could put an Aladino sign like right there. I could put, you know, an Aladino sign right there. I mean, that's the thing. I've managed to get this cleaned up, and guys, the organization in here, it's so much better than it was. So anyway, I guess it may sound lame to say, yeah, I skipped an episode to clean my garage, but I feel like I made some progress in terms of moving into my house. And I am one room away. One room now. I only have my office to go. I had my office and I had my garage. And I thought the garage was going to be last. But then I got to thinking about it. It's like, you know, I want to be able to pull my car in here when it's super cold this winter. And I need to get working on that now, because I don't want to be cleaning this garage out when it's cold. I want to do it when it's pleasant. And this past weekend was super, super pleasant. And so, yeah, I worked my ass off. And this garage is, I could pull my car in. Well, I've got two things I need to take to the garbage. But my garbage day is Thursday, and my garbage can is full right now. So, as of Thursday morning, after the garbage man takes the can and empties it, I can throw those two things away. And then after that, I can pull my car into the garage. And that is a huge accomplishment for me right now. So I guess what I'm saying is I had to do something to where it wasn't just, you know, a spinning of the wheel kind of thing. I had to have a project with an endpoint, and the garage was it. So now I am one room away. I'm going to get that office taken care of. I'm on a timeline for that, and I'll actually address that timeline here shortly. I'm on a timeline for that, and once that office is taken care of, then I think at that point I will consider myself moved into my house, moved in, unpacked, and my house will be livable, or like done. Not as done as it can be for right now. You know how it is. It's always a working goal. But that's when I'm going to fire up that Byron. I have that Byron 1850 or whatever the hell sitting in the humidor. It was going to be the first cigar I smoked in this house after I closed on the house and got everything moved over. Life happened in such a way that I didn't have everything moved over in time before I had to get an episode out. And so it did not become the first cigar I smoked here. But I think I think a really good goal for me is let's get this house done. Let's get this house unpacked, put together, and finished. And once this house is unpacked, put together, finished, and everything is in its place, and we can suddenly take a breath and say, I now fully live here. Yeah, I think that's when I'm going to fire up that Byron. So I'm very, very close. And so thank you for your patience. It doesn't look like it really slowed you guys down in terms of downloads. I was looking. It looks like it gave you guys, a little bit of time to catch up, which is good. Maybe that's the best thing I could have done, is giving you guys just a smidge of time to catch up. I know 2 a week can sometimes allow for people to get behind, and then at that point, you've got to play a little catch up. So maybe it's a good thing. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. The garage clean out, it was much needed. It was, and don't get me wrong, it's not fully finished. What you don't see over here on the YouTube, what you don't see over here is a wall of about 5, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 22 tubs that need to be emptied out, or they need to be sorted through, and the garbage needs to get thrown away. What can be donated needs to be donated, and what will ultimately stay needs to be condensed. And then once that's condensed, those tubs are going to go boop, boop up in the attic above the garage here. And then that way that workbench will be emptied out. And then I'll have even more room to play. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. But it needed to be done. So thank you for giving me the time I needed to kind of mentally reset a little bit, and also address my garbage mess, my garage garbage mess, I should say. Okay, in terms of other fun stuff, I got some news. We got some stuff to talk about. I addressed Brinker moving. Anyway, so one little bit of news I did want to point out. This came out very recently, actually, near the beginning of October, but it's relevant now because the TAA, I believe they're doing their little conference down there in the somewhere sunny and warm. I don't remember exactly. I should have looked that up before I came on to look up, see where they're at. Aruba, maybe? I don't remember. It was someplace that I was jealous that Garofalo said he was going. But Villiger has announced their annual TAA. And those of you who know, before Villiger became a show sponsor, I was in love with the Villiger TAA 2020. And each year they partner with a different factory to produce their TAA cigar. And it's fun because it kind of gives a different spin on a Villiger cigar. It gives a little different taste. They've worked with EP Carrillo. They've worked with Espinosa. They've worked with Aganorsa. They've worked with a number of different really, really great companies. Well, this year they're working with Maya Selva in Honduras, and they are producing, Maya Selva is going to produce the 2024 TAA. And it's going to be a 6x52 Honduran Puro. 500 boxes will be produced. $15 per cigar is the MSRP. It's going to be made at the Maya Selva Cigars factory in Don Lee, Honduras. And the release date is October 20th at the TAA convention. So, that should have, technically 2 days ago by the time this episode drops. So, we have that to look forward to. I really... Again, I love the Villiger TAAs. If you guys happen to be near a TAA shop and they can bring in the Villiger TAA cigar, give it a try. I haven't smoked the 2024 yet, but based off of prior history with those cigars, I'm sure they're probably fantastic. So give that a shot. What else did I want to cover? I have random notes of things that I've encountered over this weekend that I wanted to talk about with you guys. So, next up, we have something I encountered during my drive to my printer and gave it a shot to. And that would be the Krabby Patty meal from Wendy's. Now, I don't know how many of you, by the way, check out my Buc-ee's cup. Isn't that sweet? Anyway, Wendy's has partnered with Nickelodeon to make a Krabby Patty meal. They've brought the Krabby Patty to reality. And really all it technically is a Dave single with some sort of sauce on it. The sauce reminds me a lot of Big Mac sauce. So if you don't like Big Mac sauce and you don't like whatever, it's a Dave single with Big Mac sauce on it. Is all the Krabby Patty is. It looks like Squidward assembled it because usually it's smashed and mangled, and you know how it is when you get food from a drive-thru. I mean, it's never as delightfully pretty. So it's not as pretty as if SpongeBob himself were back there putting it together. The part of this the meal, in my opinion, that actually stands out as the best component of the Wendy's SpongeBob meal is the pineapple frosty that they have with it. It's a vanilla frosty, but they have this like pineapple goo, like syrup that they pour into the thing. It's delightful. It's amazing. My only complaint, my only recommendation, my only criticism is they need more pineapple goo. The pineapple goo is way better than the vanilla frosty. I'm typically not a vanilla frosty guy. I like the chocolate ones, but the pineapple goo is very, very good. So more pineapple goo and it'd be fine. But anyway, if you want to get a Krabby Patty and check that off of whatever 25-year bucket list, maybe you watched SpongeBob as a kid and you're just like, I gotta have a Krabby Patty. You can get one at Wendy's right now. It's pretty basic, but the Frosty's worth it. Now the thing that I don't know, that it was just dumb. One other bit of dumb news I wanted to address before I get into kind of the meat of what I wanted to talk about on this show. I saw a news article this weekend, and while it might be more appropriate for the asylum bit on the Cigar Authority, I thought it would be something that you all would appreciate. So a funeral home in Poland had to issue an apology on Saturday after a corpse that it was transporting fell into traffic. Apparently a man was driving down a street Friday in Stalowa Wola, a city in southeastern Poland, and he saw a sheet on his car window. And then when the sheet slid down, he saw a body lying in the road, and he feared that he'd hit a person. But apparently, no. The company responsible for transporting the corpse, which get this name for the freaking company, the Hades Funeral Services, Hades, Hades. I don't know, but it's very appropriate if you're a bad dude that Hades Funeral Services would be taking care of you. I'm not saying the corpse was a bad guy, but I'm just saying if you were a bad dude, that would be the people for you. But the Hades Funeral Services apparently issued a statement Saturday taking responsible and blaming a technical failure of the hearse. They wrote, quote, "It is with deep regret that we inform you that as a result of an unexpected technical failure of the electronic tailgate lock in the hearse, during the transport of the body of the deceased, an unfortunate event occurred which does not reflect the high standards of our company, our deep empathy towards the families of the deceased, and the respect we always show the deceased. They apologize to all those who were disappointed and upset by this event." Sounds like a pretty convenient way of saying our back door lock failed and a body rolled into the street. I've seen some weird shit in the streets around here. You see various dead animals. The armadillos, those really caught the attention when they started popping up around here. You didn't really expect to see those. There's always that one random shoe, which I never understand how somebody can lose one shoe. It's like, don't they realize that a shoe fell. Like, how does a shoe end up in the? I don't understand how a shoe just ends up in the road. But be that as it may, there's always weird shit in the roads around here. But a body. I can't say that I've ever. Thankfully, I can't say as I've ever encountered a body in the road. So for what it's worth, watch for bodies in Poland. They might be in the road. Now, that leads me to my final, little topic here before we get into our little segments. I mentioned earlier that I'm on a bit of a time schedule for getting my office done in the house. And that's because I'm expecting company in the next 2 weeks. So this upcoming weekend, I have my son. And then the first weekend of November, I have company coming in from out of town. And they're going to, stay at the house and hang out. And we're gonna have a fun weekend. It'll be a good time. But obviously, I want to get the house done, put together. I'm using my friend's visit as an excuse to motivate myself to get the place done and ready. But it got me thinking, what do you guys do to prepare when you have company coming in from out of town? Do you give a shit? Like, do you try to come up with stuff? Because here's my thing, is not only am I trying to, make sure the house is prepped, ready, put together, nice for company, but then also, I kind of feel like when somebody comes to visit and they're not from this area, I feel like I'm a bit of an ambassador for my area. You hear a lot of stuff about St. Louis, various, dangerous city in the United States and blah, 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 this and that and whatever, and flyover country and this and what. So I try to make sure I have somewhat of a list in my head of these are restaurants I think we ought to try. These are places we ought to swing by. These are things we ought to do, things of that nature, just so that I can represent the area and well enough but also entertain my guest. I'm not saying that we hit everything. I'm not saying it's an itemized itinerary of shit that has to be addressed. But it's some options. That way we're not just sitting around going like, "Whoa, I don't know what we're gonna do today," and all that. It's like, no, we've got options. We've got things we can do today. We've got places we can go, things we can go see, and we can have a good time. For example, one of the places that my guest that's coming to town is going to encounter with me. I don't know if we discussed this or not. I can't remember, but they're going to hear it now. We're going to go to a place called the Blue Owl, and they have some phenomenal pie. Just amazing pie. And so, yeah, I'm going to take this person out for pie, and we're going to go, and we're going to have pie. And then there were a few places that he had asked about visiting, and so we're going to look into that. There's a few things that he's shopping for that you can easily procure in my area. Fireworks, specifically being one of them. Not to tip anybody off, but whatever. So I'm going to be looking for that. And so it's one of those deals where I want to make sure that my guest has the best time here. And so what do you guys do? Do you come up with lists of do you have a list in your mind of, these are the really good restaurants that represent because I got a lot of chains in my area. I got a lot of chain restaurants. Nothing that's there's some places, but there's not a lot of places that are out of the norm, for people from different areas. And so one of the things I try to do when somebody comes to town is we're not hitting chains. We're not hitting places that you can get back home. We're hitting places you can't get back home. We're hitting places that you've never been. And so that's part of it is I want to make sure that restaurant-wise, I have a little itinerary, a little list in mind of, okay, these are the places we need to hit. And so do you guys do that? Do you come up with those lists? Do you have ideas for that? What are some of the attractions for your area? You know, given the fact that this is a cigar podcast, do you bring them to your cigar lounge? Do you take them to multiple cigar lounges? Or are you like, nah, forget those other ones. This one, the one I go to, that's the one to go to. That's the only one that matters, and I'm taking them just there. You know? I don't know. I guess I'm looking for feedback. So, you know, guys, this is my call. Call the Ask the Boy or Ask the Pulpit hotline. I keep calling it whatever. Call the Ask the Pulpit hotline. Area code 863-874-0000. Let me know. Let me know where you, like, what you do in preparation for guests. Do you do anything? Or do you just say, they're coming to visit me and we're going to do what we're going to do? And, you know, you don't really put together a plan. I mean, am I overthinking this? So, anyway, put together, you know, let me know what you do for for guests, you know, when they're coming to your area, and give me a ring on the hotline. And while you're at it, tell me, where are you calling from? And maybe some of the good restaurants and some of the good, like, sights to see in your area, you know? I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's got cool stuff in their area, whether they know it or not. I mean, they're 45 minutes south of me, there is where the guy who created Popeye is from, and there's 19, I think, different Popeye character statues all over town, and you can go on a little tour looking at all the different Popeye the Sailor Man statues. An hour and a half, actually more like probably 2.5 hours south of me. The other way is Metropolis, Illinois, where they've got the giant Superman statue, if you care about that. 2.5 hours of me, hours to the east of me is Casey, Illinois, and that's home of all kinds of giant shit. I mean, you're talking world's largest not ball of twine, but they do have world's largest wind chimes and rocking chair and all kinds of shit. And that's on 70 in between here and Indianapolis. So anybody driving between St. Louis and Indianapolis, be it an over-the-road trucker or somebody who actually lives in one of those two towns and makes the commute, or somebody who's just passing through from further east going to further west or whatever, and you happen to pass through, look for Casey, Illinois. They've got some really, really cool shit there. I mean, it's a fun place to stop for, like, you know, a couple hours and just take some pictures of you with really big shit. They've got the world's largest mailbox. You can stand up in the world's largest mailbox and have somebody take a picture of you from the ground. It's pretty cool. So, anyway, and that's not even St. Louis. That's not even getting into the fact that I'm like right by St. Louis, where we have the Arch, and if you're into baseball, we have Busch Stadium plus the, you know, Cardinals Hall of Fame, you know, and then and our zoo. My God, I keep raving about our zoo. Anytime anybody tells me what's a cool thing in St. Louis, the fucking St. Louis Zoo is. I will put it up against any zoo in the country. It's badass and it's free. You know, so yeah, we've got a great zoo. So, what do you guys promote for your area? What is something that when you're talking about, oh yeah, come to, you know, I don't know, wherever the hell you're from, Billings. When you come to Billings, this is what you need to check out. Tell me what you need. So, what I need to see. Area code 863-874-0000. Now, I've rambled. Let's move on.
It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation.
All right, guys, I actually have some stuff for this. I have some stuff for the Villiger segment. So, first things first. I finished Chaos. Unfortunately, Chaos was canceled by Netflix. One season, one and done. And I'm pissed because They kind of wrapped a few little things up with the first season, but my God, they set it up for what was going to be an epic second season, and it didn't hit their viewing benchmark numbers, and so we're not getting a second season of Chaos, and I'm so pissed about that. Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, he really, like, he started off kind of whimsical and funny, and by the end of it, man, he's menacing as shit. And you just you want to see more of that. And all of the pieces were coming into play, and things were going to start happening, and it was going to get really good. And so, by God, I really, really was disappointed that Netflix pulled the plug on Chaos. I'd really like to see somebody else pick that up and run with it. It was a really, really good show, and I can only hope that maybe it finds some life somewhere else. At the very least, give us a movie to tie it all up. I feel like that should be kind of something that all of these streamer services ought to make as a requirement. That if you're going to put out a show and you're going to find people that like it, and you're going to decide, it's just not doing the numbers we want, we're going to pull the plug. I feel like you should at least put together a very basic 90-minute movie. I'm not saying you got to give me 3 hours. Find a way in 90 minutes to give me a movie, to give me closure for that show. You know? I just feel like it's the only fair thing to do. And I think ultimately it will result in better numbers for that show over the long term. Because here's the thing. You know, maybe let's say I hadn't started watching Chaos before the news of the no second season came about. Do you really think I am going to invest time into a show now that I've known that it got canceled and there's no second season coming? No, I'm gonna say, oh well, shit, it got the legs pulled out from underneath it. It probably had some cliffhangers. I'm gonna let it go, and that's exactly how it went. And so I feel like if you want to give that show, just give that show that hour and a half long movie at the end, I feel like that puts a period at the end of the sentence. And I would say, well, okay, it only got one season, but it did get a movie to tie it up, so I'll watch it. I wouldn't have watched Chaos, having known that it was going to end, but here we are. So for what it's worth, it was entertaining. I can't recommend it because I know that it ends on a cliffhanger, but for what it's worth, it was entertaining while we had it. So, sorry, keeping my cigar going. I'm enjoying the JFR Lunatic Habano, little Robusto here. I'm about halfway through it. Good, a little bit of spice to it, the nuttiness. It's a nice cigar. I enjoy those, and the price point on them is excellent. So it's a good cigar. Now, the next show I want to talk about. Well, let's talk about the movie first. I finished Chaos. I watched a movie, and then I ended up watching a documentary show. But I feel like the documentary show is going to result in a little bit more discussion. I wish I had somebody on with me that had watched it with me, but it's all right. Schedules are what schedules are. I've got a ton of invites out now, guys, so I'm hoping that I won't have to do too many more of these solo efforts. The next thing I want to talk about is there was a movie. It was the recent Hellboy movie called Hellboy the Crooked Man, and it was supposed to go to theaters, but it ended up shifting to going digital only in the United States. It did go to some theaters, I think, overseas, but here in the States, it went digital only, and it's now available. You can rent it on Amazon, and I think Apple and a few places. You can buy it if you want, but I watched it, and I was excited for it because I generally like the Hellboy movies. The two with Ron Perlman were really fun, really good movies. The one with David Harbour, while it was not well received by some fans, I think they really wanted the third Ron Perlman movie. It was also a little on the extra violent side, and admittedly the script on that wasn't that great. But it was fun. I liked it. I actually liked the David Harbour Hellboy movie. I watched it, sitting out on the patio at the duplex with a couple cigars, and I had a good time with it. So for what it's worth, I didn't think it was that bad of a film. But this new Hellboy, The Crooked Man. So it's a new guy playing Hellboy. Forgive me, I don't remember the actor's name. And it's a new kind of company. And the film almost feels like an independent film. It has a little bit of a low budget quality to it. I feel like they put the most amount of money probably into some of the CG effects and then also Hellboy himself. Actor-wise, I don't feel like there's anybody in it that I recognized. Nobody noteworthy. Nobody noteworthy, nobody super famous, nothing like that. Hellboy was smoking the whole movie. I'll give him that. That's they didn't shy away from the use of tobacco. So Hellboy was smoking the whole movie. I think they were cigarettes though, which I thought Hellboy smoked cigars, but I could be wrong. But anyway, it was a good. It was a solid movie. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. After watching it, I can see why they decided to go streaming only. I think it would have tanked in theaters. I'm glad I didn't pay theater money for it. This is another one that I wish we could. Dave from Smoking Butts and Tappin' Ash, he watched it and he really liked it, and I would like to. This would have been fun to do. I might in a future episode, if I have him on, we might circle back to this movie and debate it a little bit. I felt like it kind of drug a little bit at times. Like it was only an hour and a half long, but you could have told me that was a 2.5 hour long movie, and I would have believed you 100%. It did kind of drag a little bit. There were some parts where I wasn't really sure what was going on. So that was a little rough. Let's put it this way. I think I like the David Harbour Hellboy movie more than I liked this one. I feel like that one was at least a little bit more straight to it. This one tried. It tried. It was not my favorite. Take that same actor playing Hellboy, put him in a different movie all day long. As long as the script is better, a little more straightforward, a little less woo, whatever. I think it would have been fun. This was probably not the best effort. So, and that's disappointing because I really kind of wanted this one to be good. But the other thing I watched, I was captivated by. 100% captivated by. And guys, y'all know I'm a sucker for my kind of trashy documentary style. I enjoyed The Tiger King, and all the twists and turns that documentary gave us. And by God, I settled in and I watched one on HBO this weekend called Chimp Crazy. And Chimp Crazy follows a woman named Tanya. And Tanya worked at a chimpanzee wildlife preserve, whatever you want to call it, down in Festus, Missouri. Festus, Missouri, folks, is 45 minutes that way. I could be in Festus, Missouri in less than an hour. I know people from Festus, Missouri. I know people that have family in Festus, Missouri. I know, Festus is close, and I had no idea this was going on down there. I vaguely recall some of the stuff on the news, but I didn't know this was going on. So she had this chimpanzee thing, and PETA found out about it. And apparently there were some problems at this chimpanzee thing. And so PETA sued. They got it shut down. There were 7 chimpanzees living there. PETA and the authorities came to collect the monkeys. And at the time, they only got 6. And there was a missing monkey named Tonka. and he was like a 30-something-year-old chimpanzee. And this chimp had done some movies. It did a movie named Buddy with Alan Cummings. And so Alan Cummings, who played Nightcrawler in X-Men 2, you know, he teamed up with PETA, and they wanted to find out where Tonka was. And guys, it's by the same people who did Tiger King. And I'll tell you, after the end of the second episode, after the end of the first, I was like, yeah, I want to watch another. After the end of the second, I was like, fuck, I want to watch another right now. I mean, the guy can put together a good documentary. He knows how to hook you from episode to episode to episode to where by the end of one episode, you're just like, roll right into the next one. I can't stop. Just binge, just go. I give him credit for that. The man knows how to do it. And so, yeah, if you want the 2024 Tiger King, go check out Chimp Crazy. This woman is nutty. She's batshit crazy, and it's all about her chimps. You learn about some other poor chimps in the United States. You hear about that case where that chimp went crazy in Connecticut and ripped that poor woman's face off. You know, there's a chimp up in, where the fuck was that? There was another chimp that they talked about. I mean, some the stuff they're doing with these chimps is really, really sad. And, you know, they're exploiting some loopholes and all this kind of shit. I mean, what you kind of come to realize is, you know, as much as you learned about the back room trading of the big cats that you learned about in Tiger King, boy, you learned about how much, you know, these chimps and these monkeys are being exploited in the pet community. And man, what is it with women? Women have these fucking pets, and I know what it is. You can watch this and you can figure it out. These women, they get these chimps and they turn them into their babies. You know, they're like dressing them up, they're putting them makeup on them, they're treating them like children. And what it is it's children that never fucking grow up. They never grow up. They never start to think for themselves in terms of like wanting to move on with life, and they don't move away. They're children that are always there. And these women, they like fixate on it. And they talk about this in the documentary. They at one point do talk about this. I was thinking this in the beginning, but I think by the fourth episode they start talking about this exact point. And they say that it really is, the data proves that it really is primarily women that are getting these chimpanzees and are treating them like children. And the problem is, after the chimp is about 5 years old, that's when it becomes like older to where the danger level starts ratcheting up. And you get past 5, man, these things they're not safe. But 5 years old is just long enough for that chimp to have been a member of the family for 5 years now, to where they think, oh, Bubbles is never going to hurt me. You know, Bippo is safe and whatever. And fuck, man, I'm not messing with these things. I mean, they're dangerous. And they turn on a freaking flip of a hat, or a coin. It's just nuts. So yeah, if you want to watch just it's 4 parts. It's only 4 episodes. I feel like it's shorter than Tiger King. I think Tiger King was 6. And you know, each one's 45 minutes to an hour. Chimp Crazy. It's on HBO Max, and let me tell you, it's nutty, and it was right down south of me. I mean, it's just down the road. Hell, the pie place that I was talking about, how I'm going to take my guests to, that's like, that's more than halfway to Festus. I feel like we'd be like 20 minutes from Festus at the pie place. I mean, realistically, we might be less than that. We might be like 15 minutes from Festus if we go to the pie place. So, I mean, you know, I'm like right there in the whole Chimp Crazy environment. I mean, well, they're showing news clips from the local news talking about how the federal agents are there taking the monkeys out of the possession of this place. And the newscaster is one I recognize, and one that I know the freaking channel. Hell, I've met the guy, you know, in prior job experience and whatnot. I've met that reporter. So, it's like here he is in this chimp documentary, and this is fucked up. But anyway, it's right there. It's right there in my backyard. So chimp crazy. It was entertaining. I fully endorse it. So, okay. Well, now that we have done the Villiger segment, why don't we do this? It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars can't clip our wings. All right, and so today we're going to talk about a unique competition that was held in 2011 in the Northern Territory of Australia. So this fundraiser that they held, it was a competition, but it was a fundraiser. It was being held for a local boy who needed a new wheelchair. And so they decided they were going to have a staring competition. Contestants ranged in age from toddlers to full-grown adults, and it was called the So You Think You Can Stare competition. So the last two standing were Fergal Eyesore Fleming and Stephen Staremaster Stagg. They both had obliterated the previous Guinness Book of World Records record of 17 minutes. 17 minutes without blinking. Well, Stagg finally blinked at 41 minutes and 59 seconds, leaving Eyesore Fleming as the sole record holder. And Fleming confessed to feeling like his eyeballs were getting tattooed at about 35 minutes in. So be like Eyesore Fleming and Blackbird Cigars and don't let anybody clip your wings. Can you imagine keeping your eyes open for basically 42 minutes? Can you remotely imagine how that felt? I mean, good Lord, that sounds absolutely abysmal to do. I mean, just abysmal. Yeah, that would have sucked. So, I don't know. What's the longest you can do? I'm sure some of you right now are thinking like, I could do 17 minutes. Try it. Set your timers. Try it. I want to see what my parishioners can do. What can you guys? How long can you go without blinking? Anyway, all right. Well,
guess what, motherfucker?
speaking of Tiger King, we got that now. So, let's get into the 3 cigars we smoked and enjoyed this week. Now, I have a little extra time because I would have done that on Friday's show, but well, I covered. I didn't do a show Friday, so I got a little extra time to play with here. So the first one I'm going to give a shout out to is one that I feel like sometimes they get a little. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's gonna be people who be like, nobody overlooks these, but I feel like people concentrate on the fancy versions and the more high-end versions, and they don't talk about these as much. And so I'm gonna give a shout out to the Padron 3000. The Padron 1000 series for the price is one of the best cigar purchases you can go with. You know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a Padron. You know that it's gonna be constructed well. You know that flavor-wise, you know what you're gonna get flavor-wise. And it's going to be a good cigar. And price-wise, the 1000 series, way, way more affordable than any of the anniversary cigars that they've put out. And, look, I'm not saying it's as refined, perhaps, as the anniversary series that they have, but it's still a really, really good cigar. And so the Padron 3000 is my first. I want to keep my JFR going here. It's starting to go out. My next one that I'm going to give a shout out to only because of sheer amount that I have smoked. I mean, I've smoked a bunch of these in the last, well, we'll go 2 weeks since, like I said, I didn't do it the 1 week. Just for sheer quantity, I'm going to give a shout out to the Chartero Cabano in the Toro size. I have smoked the shit out of that since I got back from New England. I bought a box from the Nashua store, and I have been smoking the absolute hell out of the Chartero Cabano. And guys, for a affordable, really, really good cigar from Foundation, with a lot of flavor and great construction, I'm all in on the Chartero Cabano. I love it. It's fantastic. No frills. It's a really, really good cigar. And then finally, I'm gonna. You know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it. The last one that I am going to give a shout out to is one that one that I smoked the other day driving home, and it was the Mi Querida, the Ancho Largo. It was a blue band Mi Querida cigar, and it was very good. It smoked really, really well. Flavor-wise was great. Construction was amazing. I got a lot of time out of it. It was really good. I got to give credit where credit's due, and I did really enjoy that cigar. But I got that that came in my pack of cigars that I got at the New England Cigar Expo, and I'd thrown it in the humidor, and had it with me, and fired it up. It was good. It was a tasty cigar, so I enjoyed that. Well, now, got to keep this thing going. It's just got a little bit left, but I'm talking a lot, and so it keeps wanting to go out on me. Anyway, now that we have accomplished 3 cigars we smoked and enjoyed this week, looking ahead on my show notes. That's right, Dave. I do have show notes. I do. I just don't, necessarily always have them. Sometimes when I have a guest, the conversation can kind of just flow. But when I'm by myself doing this solo, yes, I am prepared. I have show notes, because there's no way on God's green earth I can sit down and completely wing this thing with no show notes. So I do have show notes. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and do the socials? So I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. We're on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. Just had somebody join just last night. I think it was just last night that I approved somebody new to join, so we thank you for that. We have Twitter/X. We're on YouTube, where you can watch this, where you can check out the progress of what I did in the garage, at least in terms of the background of what I have here. This is a spare, that's a spare Winador that I picked up on the Facebook Marketplace that is going to be turned into a humidor, which I can talk about that in a second, but that'll be leaving at some point, and so I'll be further back. I'll have the bench and the table and everything, but I have accoutrement. It's fun. I'm getting the studio kind of sort of assembled-ish. It's a good time. But anyway, you can check it out on YouTube and see that. And then, again, I do need your calls for the Ask the Pulpit shows. I have some calls banked up, but I could always use more. And, if you've never called the hotline, it's literally a voicemail thing. You call, you get a little message from Pastor Barnaby saying, leave a message, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, you leave your voicemail, and, you go on with life. You don't have to talk to anybody. It's very, very simple. So just call, leave your question, talk about whatever. If you want to say in the beginning this is a question that, maybe you'll need this person's help with or something like that, I will do my best to try and procure that person. As long as it's not like, don't come on and be like, hey, I need you to get, this manufacturer to like answer this. I can do so much, but like some people are harder to get than others, But anyway, leave me messages, leave me questions, and we can go from there. And also call me and tell me about your area and places that you take your out of town visitors to visit, and what you do in preparation for those out of town visits. Because again, I'm curious as to how much effort and energy people put into out of town guests. So anyway, that would be the socials. Now, otherwise, final thoughts. Final thoughts on the JFR Lunatic. I know Ed Sullivan hates the pregnant pauses from when I smoke cigars on these solo shows. So I know every time I have to draw on this thing, and everything, I know it's just driving him nuts that it's just like 3 seconds of silence. But I kind of do what I got to do, man. I mean, it's what it is. JFR Lunatic, I love this cigar for the price point. It's an amazing cigar. Smokes wonderfully. Construction has been really, really good. It's got a nice bit of spice to it. I dig it. I enjoy it. It's very good. I'm going back now to see if I can find, because when I looked up the cigar to begin with, I didn't look to see what the MSRP on it, but I do know that the MSRP on it, it's not bad. It's you're looking at about $750 as the MSRP on this cigar. So I mean, like, in the grand scheme of life, $750 for this is a really, really great deal, and it's a very nice flavor cigar to it. It's well worth $7.50. I would totally pay $7.50 for this. And actually, I'll say this, it's the short Robusto, and I've been talking a lot, so obviously I've had to touch it up and relight it. But I've gotten close to an hour out of it. Now, again, I've had to stop. I've had to relight a couple times because I'm talking. So if I were focusing on it, would I have gotten an hour out of it? Maybe. But I think if you wanted to, I think you could probably get 45 minutes to an hour out of this thing very, very easily. So, very good cigar. I enjoyed it. Coming to you from the fine folks at Aganor Salif. Anyway, I guess that's all she wrote. I'm working on, like I said, trying to get some guests lined up for some future episodes. I've got a lot out there. I've got a calendar I'm building up so that I know what's what. Coming up soon, I need to figure out the logistics of this. But soon I will be announcing the day that you guys can start submitting your nominations for the Parishioners Top Cigars of the Year. It's that time again. It's time to start soliciting for nominees. It's time to start, collecting up those nominees and then doing the voting and then unveiling. I mean, guys, we're danger close to Halloween here. So yeah, it's getting time to start thinking about cigars of the year. So maybe start prepping your brain, start thinking about what cigars you've really, really enjoyed this year, and put together your list that we can have the parishioners. We'll compile all the parishioners nominees, and we'll have the parishioners vote on it, and we can do our annual awards. But that's coming up danger close. So I'm working on trying to figure out how that's going to work this year. And then otherwise, yeah, we'll get more people. I don't like doing these solo shows. I would very much like to get some folks in. Part of it is I don't want to bother the same folks over and over and over again, and then also part of it is just trying to work my way into other folks' schedules and things of that nature. And so we're figuring it out. It's coming together. Oh, yes, I said I was going to mention this Wineador. So this is my little tip, and this is what I've done inside. This is for somebody else. I'm storing it for right now. But I find these Wineadors on Facebook Marketplace where somebody says, hey, I've got this. It doesn't work. In this case, this one, the compressor's bad, and so it can't the temperature control. It can't do any sort of temperature variation or regulation. But in terms of a box, it's still a very good box. I mean, it seals. It's got the nice seal on it and everything. Just don't plug the damn thing in. So if you don't plug it in, and you keep it inside your house where your house is temperature controlled, you're not going to have a problem with the temperature for your cigars. So then at that point, you just get yourself a Cigar Oasis. Get that, with this. It's got that little ribbon, power cord so that it can slide through the joint of the door, and you can still open and shut the door, and it won't have like a round, it's a flat, power cord. That way it can still shut and seal. I have one of those going in the house, and it's amazing. And the best part is these Wineadors, at least in this one, it's got the nice wood shelves, and so it's very good for storing boxes. It's good for storing trays of singles, and it's a nice heavy piece of furniture that you can have, and it looks attractive in the room. It's not something that's like, overly obvious and kind of gaudy. But anyway, I got this guy $25 on Facebook Marketplace. So if you're looking for a very affordable way to get yourself a nice humidor, get yourself a broken Wineador, because like I said, you don't need to plug the damn thing in. Get yourself a broken Wineador. Get yourself a Cigar Oasis. Cigar Oasis, I think when I looked, you can get them for about $185. So give or take, you might be about, let's round up and be extra, crazy with the estimate here. You could be about $250 in, and you could have yourself one hell of a nice humidor. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Technically, you don't need the Cigar Oasis. There are alternative, humidification methods you could use. I find that the Cigar Oasis is the best for something like this, because with mine, it completely regulates the humidity in there, and it keeps it right where I want it to be. Because when you open the door, you can see on the screen that the humidity starts dropping, but then you close, and it starts doing its thing, and it brings it right back to where you want it, and it regulates, and it's nice. It just works the best. And for the amount of room that you've got in one of these things, I think you need something a little bit more than just. You don't want to shove like 80 Boveda packs in there. You want to have something a little bit more professional and regulated. So I that's why I went with the Cigar Oasis. But anyway, for what it's worth, that's my little budget tip is you can get the fancy humidor, Frigidor humidors that have the temperature and humidity control built into it, or you can just go out and buy a Wineador that somebody wants to just get rid of, because you can't just throw these things away because they've got the power cord. So you got to do the whole electronics recycling drive and all that kind of crap and everything. But if you can buy one on Facebook for $20-$30 and get it, I mean the one inside my house, which is smaller than this one, mind you. The one inside my house, I paid $100 for. This one, I managed to get this one on just as a steal. The guy had it listed for $35. He actually originally had it for $65. Then he had lowered the price to $35. I caught him after he lowered the price to $35, offered him $25, and he accepted it. So, I mean, you can get them for cheap if you search around and you watch. You can get one for pretty cheap. Then at that point, you just got to worry about the Cigar Oasis, and you're all set. That takes like less than an hour to get that thing set up. And that was with me poring over the limited amount of instructions they included with it and everything else, and making sure I was doing it correctly, and having to climb around behind furniture to plug it in and this and that and whatever. So for what it's worth, it's super easy, it looks nice, and it stores a shit ton of cigars. So that's what I'm doing with that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for indulging my ramblings today. And thank you so much for being patient with me as I kind of took a little bit of a break and accomplished some stuff at the house. So it was well needed, and I appreciate the patience. So this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Everybody stay safe and stay smoky. I realized this could be like the set of like Bad Friends, where they have all the they have listener artwork that they display and everything and that and everything. Like, I've got all this room behind me here that I could just display all kinds of fun shit. So, there's that idea too. I'm not dry begging from you guys or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I got room to show stuff off now. This is fun. I mean, the leg lamp is the leg lamp. That leg lamp has a lot of sentimental value. The woman who gave me that as a Christmas gift, she has passed on, and she was one of the best coworkers I ever had. And by God, if she was still around when I launched that newspaper of mine, I would have immediately gotten her to work with me, and she'd still be working with me. And anyway, God bless you, Chris. Anyway, all right, well, guys, thanks so much. Take it easy.